Welcome back to Independent Showcase on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. Another bonus episode of season two. We had a bonus episode recorded this past week for a show, and now we've got another one because this promotion has a show coming up on the 16th of March. First things first, let me introduce my co host making her debut on Independent Showcase. Normally, it's my NWA co-host, but she's bringing along, sprung along the promotion really for this one. Fiona Lochran, good evening, Fee.
All right, again, good evening for like the second time in the last 15 minutes today. So good to see you,
Good.
obviously.
Yeah, I mean, not a lot has changed in the 15 minutes that we've got older, literally, from that sense. But full disclosure, because this is when this goes out, but me and Fee did record NWA just before this podcast, although this will go out, this will be near enough showtime for this particular company that we're dealing with at the moment. And it's interesting because you didn't introduce me to this company, funnily
Apparently
enough.
not. Now I feel guilty.
Yeah,
Sorry,
so
Lou.
so that's going to be a kendo stick to the head next time you
No,
see it.
don't
Uh,
encourage him.
it was funnily enough, former ECW, I suppose owner to a degree, Todd Gordon told me about you. I think he even said it on the podcast itself. If he didn't, then I apologize. But nevertheless, it is Lou King Sharp from VALOR Wrestling. Good evening.
Hi, thank you very much for having me on the show. I'm looking forward to telling you a wee bit about what we do at Val.
Yeah, it's great to hear because I've always done a lot of independent like promotions here in England. I feel a bit outnumbered. Two Scots, well, Scots man, a Scots woman, and an Englishman. That's normally a bad joke, isn't it?
There's a joke in there somewhere.
Somewhere along the line. Um, Obviously, I know a lot about the English scene. Fee is kind of, you do tell me a little bit about the Scottish scene. But Lou, for your perspective, what is the wrestling scene like up in Scotland?
I've always said I feel that Scotland kind of has its own style in a sense, much in the same way you would get lucha libre in Mexico or strong style in Japan. I always feel that Scotland's got its own style and it's a bit mad. It's a bit more brawling based. The crowds are a bit rowdier than what you would expect, and that's not just the over 18 shows. Obviously, there is a lot of them up here, but some of the kids shows that you'll do up here can be absolutely savage, and I'm sure Fiona will attest to that
I
as
can
well.
attest to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like some of the kids can be even wilder than the adults.
I'll have to go. I'll have to. Fee, I always said I'll have to try and get up and see a show that you.
Oh, totally. You totally should.
I'll have to try my best to get up there at some point and see it. But Lou, going back to Valor, we'll talk a bit about how the promotion started in a minute. But if someone had to say to you, describe Valor Wrestling to us and its unique selling points, which makes it different from other promotions, how would you describe it?
I think what really sets Valor apart from other promotions on the scene just now is just, and not to sound cliche, but it's the passion that goes into it, and that's
Mm,
not just from like a management side; it's from the performers as well. We've got a lot of guys who have never performed at a high level. They're pretty kind of new to the game. We've got a lot of guys who were turned down elsewhere or never quite got going in other kind of bigger promotions, and it's a second chance for a lot of people, and it's a first chance ever for even more people. And everybody's just really chomping at the bit and ready to make their mark on the wrestling scene. Um, it's raw, is how I would describe it. Much like I said, the Scottish wrestling scene in general, there's a big kind of hardcore brawling based element to it. It's not the prettiest wrestling in the world. I'm the first to admit that. You're not going to see, uh, a Dave Meltzer 5-star classic in Valor with loads of flips and rolls and all that kind of stuff. But if you want to see two guys go out there and knock lumps at each other, then Valor's the place to be. That's the place to see it. It feels authentic. It looks authentic, and yeah, it's just passion through and through.
Go on, Fee.
No, no, I was going to say, obviously, you bring in quite a lot of European wrestlers and you've got quite strong links with Scandinavia and
Yeah.
Finland and places. How did that come about? What was the kind of the reason behind that?
So weirdly enough, considering we're more so a kind of Scottish promotion, we actually started out as Copenhagen Championship Wrestling. I was a performer in that promotion for a number of years. I and there was some issues with the management and stuff. Things weren't going so well, and I offered to step up and basically bought into the company. So we were running things originally in Denmark, and the kind of in the general Copenhagen area. We did venture outside of that from time to time, but generally we stuck to Copenhagen. And we worked very closely with a company called Svensk Wrestling Sid in Malmo in Sweden. And we basically agreed to kind of merge those two companies. So SWS is still kind of going in its own sense, but a lot of the crew from the SWS have came and joined us. We then kind of expanded obviously into Malmo. Copenhagen was already running shows, across Scotland, mainly in the kind of Glasgow area, west of Scotland. And yeah, we decided we can't be Copenhagen Championship Wrestling if we're running more shows in Malmo and Glasgow than we are in Copenhagen. So we rebranded as VALOR. But I guess that would be a big kind of unique selling point of the promotion itself. I don't really think there is anyone else that's really kind of covering that kind of territory at an independent level. So we're operating out, as I said, west of Scotland, occasionally the Copenhagen area still, and then also more or less monthly shows in Malmo in Sweden as well. And a lot of people obviously might be unfamiliar with the Scottish scene, but I feel like even more people are going to be unfamiliar with the Scandinavian wrestling scene, which is definitely something that I would recommend that you go and check out, because there's a lot of stars coming out there. And I think it really is only going to be a matter of time before places like WWE and AEW get a sniff of that and realise just how much talent is actually coming out of there, and just how good a lot of these guys are. I've always said, like, the next kind of boom in European wrestling, I don't think personally it's going to come from the UK or Germany, which are the two kind of bigger scenes. I really do think it's going to be in Scandinavia, and if you check out some of the numbers guys have been pulling over there, it kind of evidences that. But at least in Copenhagen and Malmo, I think it's very similar to a Glasgow crowd. They're very rowdy. They could give or take flashy wrestling moves. They want to see two guys go out there and have a fight in a nightclub, and that's really what it's all about for them, and that's what we aim to give them.
It's really interesting that you mentioned about the sort of Scandinavian and sort of like the sort of lesser European scene. Obviously, you mentioned the WWE there, and they're doing a lot of tours. Obviously, they're coming over to us, obviously over here in Glasgow and the UK, and they're also going to Belgium. And I know that they're doing some sort of I suppose some trials really over there. They're doing it over here in the UK. They'll probably do it in Scotland, but potentially they're in Belgium, which could bring a lot of some of those Scandinavian wrestlers over to the WWE at the training camp.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, WWE definitely has picked up on the fact that there is maybe more wrestling fans there than they anticipated. It was a few years ago they did the first house shows, and I think it was the first time they'd done house shows there. At least 10 to 15 years.
Mm.
And they were hugely successful, sold out. Each kind of city that they hit on that tour, and it doesn't surprise me at all. Like, these are big wrestling countries. A wee kind of historical fact for you: I believe the biggest ever wrestling crowd was actually in Denmark. I believe it was George Hackenschmidt and Danish champion. But they drew something like 1 million people in a field. And it was, yeah, you can look that up, but yeah, the biggest ever wrestling crowd came out of Denmark in the early 1900s. So as I said, there is a lot of wrestling history there, and there's a lot of wrestling fans there as well.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see what happens when the WWE come over. But I wanted to touch on it and find out a bit more about how Todd Gordon got involved with
Yeah.
VALOR Wrestling.
So one of the talents that works for VALOR Wrestling, we put a big emphasis on international wrestlers and getting guys from all over the globe. One of those guys is Buffer, who Fiona will be familiar with as well from W3L. And just to touch on him for a sec, he's a fantastic talent. Former 01 champion. He's originally from the Bronx in New York, but he really made his name in Japan. But from working the scene on the east coast of the US, he was in touch with Todd Gordon, kind of knew him from the shows he was hitting. and really just offered to put us in touch. So eventually, he had mentioned that he had spoke to Todd about us, and I decided to just kind of make the move on it and get in touch with Todd and see if he would be interested in working with us. And really, what he said to me was all he needed was Buffer's word, and that was enough for him to kind of trust us. And it really did start off as just like the kind of promos and stuff that he was doing. He's our commissioner. So he was sending them, promos and that kind of thing. But he really, really has took an interest in Valor itself, and he's the most valuable asset that we have. And I think a lot of people don't really get to see a lot of the work that Todd actually does for Valor. They'll see obviously the promos and the footage that go out on our socials and that kind of thing, but what he does backstage and the amount that I've learned, not just about promoting, but about the wrestling business as a whole, from production to, promos to how to interact with the talent, how to bring in, more fans, how to expose ourselves to kind of larger audiences in general. Like there's so much that I've learned for Todd Gordon, and I honestly really don't think he gets the credit that he deserves as one of the greatest promoters that this business has ever seen.
Yeah, he certainly was. I mean, I had a great chat with him, but I think you touched on it there that, you can have some of the greatest minds and the greatest names in the business. If they don't take it seriously or they don't take it to heart, there isn't really any point. But with Todd, it seems as if he's really taken Valor under his ring and he really actually wants to help the company grow.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I hear from Todd, at least once a week, and just this week I got a message from him telling me that he's supposed to be sleeping, but here's a ton of ideas that he's had for Valor, and it really is kind of flattering that a guy who's been at that level, been at one of the kind of peaks of the industry, is being kept up at night thinking about a kind of small promotion from Glasgow, or Europe generally. And yeah, it's, as I said, it's flattering that he's got us on his mind, but it is totally invaluable to have him on side, and just the connections that he has as well. Like he got us a promo sent in from Bill Alfonso, for a Scottish promotion, to have Bill Alfonso sending in footage and to be able to say, Bill Alfonso's going to be appearing on our YouTube show, Todd Gordon's going to be appearing on our YouTube show, and there's going to be a lot more, kind of faces like that popping up on the shows as well. And it is all thanks to Todd. So he's valuable in so many aspects. He's valuable in the content in terms of the guys that he brings in. He's valuable, backstage, and what I'm learning from him. And then he's valuable in the footage that he puts out himself.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Maybe you'll get Sabu pop up on you.
Oh, fingers crossed. I know one of the questions that you're going to ask me later. He's going to be spoke about then.
Interesting. Well, funnily enough, now is a good time to. Let's see if you got another question to add before we.
No, well, I was just going to ask. Obviously, you're the man behind Valor, but you also wrestle in Valor as well. How
Yes.
do you manage to juggle the kind of management side of things as well as the wrestler side of things? Have you found that has been kind of a process where you've had to kind of settle into the two roles but differentiate between them, or has it been fairly easy for you?
I mean, it's not been as hard as I thought it would have been. I was kind of lucky in the way that I came in. So I was already a performer for CCW when I took over a kind of management role. But I was already kind of doing a lot of that on top of being a wrestler. So I mean, it can be hard, especially if I don't have my two kind of business partners, Sebastian Day and Seb Silvers there, with me. If it's a show that I'm there on my own, it can be difficult to put a match together and structure it and these kind of things when you're also worrying about what's the raffle prize is going to be.
Always a raffle prize. Always a
how's the
raffle
door
prize.
done? Is there enough seats or this kind of stuff? but I have been able to kind of manage it. Luckily, I guess the bonus always is that it's one less wage that I need to pay as well.
True.
Very, very true. And yes, raffle is big over here in the UK as well. We, the Hitting the Turnbuckle, we have our own championship, and we work with a company called Ignite Wrestling, and we help out there. And there's always a thing of what we're going to use as the raffle prizes.
Not a show without a raffle. Like
You
sometimes
can't.
that gets the biggest pop of the night.
It does,
That's
yeah.
staple of British wrestling. I'm always telling the Scandinavians, you don't need to worry about what wrestlers you're going to bring in. Bring in a raffle, and that'll bring in the money.
Definitely so. Right, let's move on to the round of questions. And Fee, I'm going to let you join in on this as well because
Oh,
I'd be interested.
Christ. No
Yeah,
pressure.
oh, well, no pressure, but I'd like to get your input as you've debuted as well on the show. The first question is one that does stump a lot of wrestlers when I asked them as well. And Fee, you've definitely been asked this before on this show, so but it may be changed. Your answers may have changed. But first things first, Lou. Your top three wrestling theme songs are what?
Whoa. Now, I'll struggle with the order.
Yeah, it doesn't matter about an order.
Alone with My Baby Tonight, Jeff Jarrett. Marcus Corvon's WWE entrance music.
This is the most random selection I've ever heard in my life.
And I'm going to say... I'm kind of torn up between the Big Boss Man and Bad Street USA.
Oh, Bad Street's a classic.
I'll go Bad Street. I'll go back. I was the one that kicked it all off on it, so we'll go for Bad Street.
I've never in my life heard them three songs selected on this. I mean, maybe some out there.
I can totally picture you bopping away to them as well.
Oh, they are high up on my Spotify playlist.
Well, Fee, I mean, I dread to ask now, but if you're going to select three, I mean,
Like you totally put me on the spot here. Oh my God. So I like to keep them quite simple, to be fair. I loved Bobby Roode's Glorious. Loved it. Just because it was dead simple. I'm also oh no. Oh, now I'm really struggling here. I should have thought about this before. I should have known you were going to put me on the spot like this. I don't know.
Do I not?
The problem is, right, my issue is I know loads of songs, couldn't tell you what they were called. That's half the problem. And I'm like, so I like Randy Orton's original theme. I don't know what it was though, but
Burning My Light.
was it?
It's not Voices. Voices now. Before that.
Voice, no, be Voices, yeah. So I like Voices.
Right.
And then what else? I don't have a clue.
We'll leave yours at two because we'll be here all night, and you got an
You
holiday.
will be here all night.
Okay, my one's for today and for today only, and I've listened to all three of them on the way home from work. One was Cult of Personality from CM Punk. One was the NWO Wolfpack theme song, which come on in my car, and the first one is always going to be probably definitely in my top three, which is Metalingus and Edge. So I had to, or Copeland or Cope, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Answers.
Nowadays, that's for sure. Okay, so the second one is a question that I did give you before we went on air, and that was if you could have a dream match, and you're probably going to give this one away a little bit, VALOR, who would you select to be in it? Let's make it a fatal four-way. So who would your four be?
So we've got Sabu.
Yep.
Cactus Jack. Terry Funk. And I'm going to say New Jack as the fourth.
And a shit ton of medics at the side of the ring.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of insurance as well. Jesus, that would be Christ almighty. I don't know.
Would you put yourself in that mix? I know you like a little bit of hardcore wrestling yourself. I've seen what's going on at Bleeding Gums and stuff. So
you'd get in there. Jesus, that would be an incredible. Well, it would be amazing. I don't know. Have ECW done it? I suppose I don't know. Did they do it with some
I believe
of
there
those?
was a triple threat with Sabu, Cactus Jack, and Terry Funk. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure there was.
I should have asked RVD at the weekend when I interviewed him, but yeah, he may well. Jesus, that would have been well, yeah. I mean, good luck with that one. With the medics and the insurance and God
And the
knows.
lawsuits that are likely to follow.
Yeah, I mean, fans might as well have brung the weapons. I suppose has that happened in Scotland yet? Have the fans brought the weapons in?
Yeah, so they've done that at Bleeding Gums Wrestling, but that's something that you can expect from Valor coming soon as well.
Jesus Christ! Oh my
That's
God!
always a good one. You never know what you're going to get with them. I always love seeing what people come up with.
Yeah, that's the fun of it, isn't it? Just
Yeah.
seeing what kind of madness they bring along with them.
And how much damage can like a basic household item actually do?
Like a biscuit tin or something like that, something along those lines. Well, probably not a biscuit tin. I've probably gone very, very mild in but,
I'm
No,
thinking
this
more
is
like
this is
garden
Glasgow.
strimmer or something like that.
yeah.
We'd be having to explain to the fans, look, you can't bring a sawn-off shotgun to the.
That would, yeah, I can. Maybe in the 80s you could have done. I've heard some
Oh,
stories from
maybe.
Jim Cornette. Yeah, that may have been happening. I'm not going to ask you that question, Fee, because obviously, you work for promotions, you don't have a promotion.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
And the other question, there's one other question which I didn't ask you, is not necessarily a year, but what is your favorite pay-per-view to watch on the television?
Um, so just like generally speaking.
Yeah, general speaking, don't have to be a year, doesn't have to be Money in the Bank 2024 or anything like that. It's just
Okay.
a promotion.
Royal Rumble. It's got
Yeah,
Royal Rumble. It's a classic, and it's always it's the most exciting for me. I know probably most people probably get more excited for WrestleMania, but with the Royal Rumble, it's always in my head like, oh, who's gonna come back? It's always the
yeah,
surprises that you're kind of hyped for.
yeah.
No, I'm
That
with
is,
you on that one,
yeah,
definitely. I think with the internet and stuff nowadays, though, the shine's been taken off it a little bit because there's always
Yeah,
spoilers leaking out.
yeah,
But if there's one pay-per-view a year I'll watch, it's the Rumble,
yeah,
without a
definitely.
doubt.
And I'm still desperate. I've done the rest. I've done WrestleMania. I have to get a. I can't go. I mean, it's in Saudi Arabia next year, so that's a no go from a start. But I'm gonna have to get out to one. I've got to get out to a Royal Rumble for sure. The final question. I agree, by the way. The Royal Rumble is my favorite. And the final question I did give you before we went on air. So if any wrestler was available, doesn't matter who, where they are now, the money and anything like that. Who would your top three people that you'd bring into Valor be?
so Sabu would be up there. Sabu's probably number one. I know he's kind of retiring soon, but
Yes.
hopefully the stars align and we can manage to get him on the way out. Um, the Sandman would be another one.
Yes.
These are all very ECW based. I'm a
Yeah,
huge
yeah, yeah.
ECW fan. I'm sure you can probably tell that.
Yep.
Sabu and the Sandman, and trying to think of a third now. Um,
Give me a female that would come in.
Yeah.
a female. Um, that's got to be Lita.
Yeah.
Ooh,
It's got
yes.
to be Lita.
Yes. Has to be Lita. I agree with that. I'd love that. If I could bring anyone in from my championship, that'd be an interesting one. Damn. Because I don't like my champion right now anyway. So you know what then? I don't like him, so I'm going to bring Gunther in to chop the living shit out of him. That would be the way. That's what, or Taz to choke him out. One of the two. That's be the two I'd bring in. Fee, if you could bring anyone over to Scotland, who would you bring? That'd be
Ooh, okay. Mainly because obviously, you know my background. I've worked with loads of people.
yes.
I would love, and I think it's very, very unlikely. In fact, I think it's pretty much the chances are nil. I'd love to bring Batista over to see him wrestle again.
Oh,
Would
Dave.
love that.
Excellent answer.
Um, I've seen him a couple of times at shows in the UK, like WWE shows, but I would love to see Batista back in the ring. Who else? I would love to see. I'd love to see Edge back in the
Yeah.
UK. I know,
I,
definitely.
I need to talk to Kenny to get him back over for another Inside the Rope show because I missed that. I was gutted.
No,
Change the
maybe,
dates.
maybe, maybe.
Yeah, you changed the dates. It was in London on a certain day and you
Yeah.
moved the dates and I couldn't do it.
And if I pick a female,
Yep.
I'd love to see Jazz in action.
Yes.
Yes, Jazz. Oh, if I had to pick a female, oh no, I would have to bring her just because she's so annoyingly funny. Chelsea Green at the minute is my favorite. I just think she's. Do you mean I loved ECW. I could have gone like a Francine or someone along those lines, but yeah, Chelsea Green just for the minute because she is definitely. If you've seen the video of her trying British food, yeah, unbelievable on
I've not had that pleasure yet.
yeah, you can see a lot of them on there. There's a few wrestlers, but Chelsea Green was the most recent one. Anyway, we digress because we've already mentioned you have a show 16th of March in Glasgow. Now, hang on, I've just gone through the card here. You have decided to book yourself for your sins in a tables, ladders, and chairs
Yes.
match. What the hell's going on?
So myself and Chris Renfrew have been involved in a big rivalry that spanned, the last kind of 12 months. Um, and yeah, we need to kick it up a notch. We need to give people we started on a death match. That was the first match that we had against each other. So it'd be hard to go in and trade lockups and headlocks after a death match. Tables, ladders, and chairs a little bit different. We've never had any kind of ladder match style kind of gimmicks going on in the Opry. And it's something that you don't see a whole lot in
Hmm.
Scotland. Obviously, that has been done, but you don't see it a whole lot. Originally, we were going to do it in Dumfries, but we had to, move that match to the Opry. And yeah, I
What a
think,
beautiful venue. I
oh
love
yeah,
that
it's,
venue.
it's my favorite, and it's not just because it's the venue that I run, but it's my favorite venue in independent wrestling. It's totally unique, has this kind of roadhouse feel to it. Um, with the saloon up the back and stuff. It really feels like wrestling, is what I always say about it. But yeah, a TLC match is going to be a bit different. Going to be a bit of carnage for the fans, which is what they buy the ticket for.
What's next? Exploding barbed wire, Inferno match.
Don't put ideas in his head. He probably bloody would.
If the venue would let me set stuff on fire, stuff would be on fire.
Jesus Christ. Well, that's going to be fun on its own. But it does say, just going ahead on the shows here, because and I know you can't give it away, but you've just said about 21 hours ago at time of recording that the most dangerous man in British wrestling has just signed with VALOR and he makes his debut on May the 18th, so a different show. What on earth is going on? Obviously, you can't give it away, but what is going on there with that?
So this guy, Scottish wrestling fans will be familiar with him. He really does live up to that moniker of the most dangerous man in British wrestling. And that's not in a pro wrestling sense. I mean, this guy is legitimately dangerous. This guy has legitimate credentials. He's performed for some of the biggest mixed martial arts companies in the world. And he's very, very well respected in the mixed martial arts space as well. And I think he's going to put the Valor roster on notice. As I said, people come to Valor to see a fight, and this guy knows all about that. My guys might be used to slugging it out, but this guy's got a level of discipline which is yet to be seen in Valor Wrestling, and I think it's going to be a very, very exciting addition to the roster.
So come what may, we'll find out who that person is. So we'll see. We'll wait with bated breath. But looking back at the card for this coming March the 16th, you got a singles match. I'm hoping I get some of these names right. I'm not very good. You should see me when I first had to try and pronounce Konosuke Takeshita. That's you could imagine where that ended up. But this one should be okay. You got a singles match: Drew Marshall, Eli Hush. Right? Is that correct?
Yes, Drew Marshall, member of the NEK, alongside Chris Renfrew, and Eli Hush. Now, I cannot wait for guys to see Eli Hush. He is the best kept secret in European wrestling. I bet my house on that. Like he's already made a little bit of noise in the States, done some independent stuff over there. I am originally from, I want to say, the UAE,
Yeah.
now based in Malmo, Sweden. But he has that kind of hyper athletic kind of indie wrestling style. There's no one else on the roster that's going to keep up with the speed that this guy works at. And he's totally unique now. All this stuff that I'm saying about him, he's also a mime. So he manages to be so, hyper athletic and exciting and fast paced in the ring while having this totally unique character that understandably sounds silly the first time you hear it, but once you see him in person, it clicks and you go, I get this, and he makes it work like no one else on the scene could.
Interesting. That should be a very interesting matchup then. Tag team matchup on the card. It's got a tag team grudge match here. Sorry, Mike Musso and Taylor Bryden versus Eastern Bloc.
Yeah, Eastern
Okay.
Bloc is, yeah, absolutely. Like Eastern Bloc it's an original creation of VALOR Wrestling. You can, if you want to see the Eastern Bloc, you got to check out VALOR. That's the only place to see it. And it's unique in the sense of it's got members, from Eastern Europe and from different countries. With guys from Poland, guy from Czech Republic, guy from Bosnia, and they are your traditional evil Eastern European baddies. They're kind of styled after like the old Soviet amateur wrestling team in terms of how they look. But the promos are second to none. The way that they portray the characters are second to none. They're totally committed to what they're doing. And Mike Musso and Taylor Bryden, two veterans of the Scottish wrestling scene. It's a good old fashioned Scotland versus the world style match. And yeah, I'm very excited for that. It's been getting quite brawly, quite brutal between the pairs, which is something that Mike Musso, might not have been used to before. He's a wrestler's wrestler.
Yeah.
But the Eastern Bloc have made them explore new tactics in there, and I'm looking forward to Taylor Bryden being thrown into the mix as well. Close friend of Mike Musso's for a number of years. But I'm going to have to say that I hope Scotland comes out on top.
Of course, they have to, right?
That's the right answer.
The right answer. There's a rematch on the card. Daisy Jenkins and Brody Adler.
Yes, Daisy Jenkins, in my opinion, the top female performer in the UK today.
She's phenomenal. If you don't know who she is, Adam, you need to check her out. She's so good.
She is absolutely brilliant. She's been making a lot of noise in the UK. Recently debuted for Attack as well. So she's been getting around. She's been out in Dubai wrestling. So she's been clocking miles in, and there's a reason for it. She's very, very talented. She's the face of the women's division in VALOR. But Brody Adler, a student of my own at the LKS dojo. And she's a big, scary powerhouse of a woman. She's been around the block as well herself. She's no stranger to the ring. Former WFL Women's Champion, I believe, as well. So
Yeah.
she's got her credentials. But she's came and spent some time in the dojo. She's taking a new approach to things. She's learning some new holds, as they say. And she's just getting better and better. And Daisy is the one to really challenge her. Daisy's the one to really see just how far she's came on. How is she going to hold up against one of the best in the UK? She's already picked up a loss before, against Daisy at Kirkintilloch, but this is our chance for redemption.
Interesting. I'll have to watch some Daisy Jenkins, and I'll tell you why after the show. But I'll have to watch some Daisy Jenkins. Single match on the card as well. Ozzy Michaels and Stone Malone.
Yes, so Ozzy Michaels, another one, very, very talented. I can see Ozzy Michaels going the whole hog. He's got the potential to, perform at the highest levels in this industry. Stone Malone is another fantastic talent, very similar to Brody. He's a slightly smaller, big powerhouse of a boy. And he's part of a very unique team in VALOR Wrestling, called God's Country. We had so many cowboys that they that they all grouped up and became a team. But one of those cowboys is a cowboy preacher by the name of Frank of the Cross, who's leading that team. So Malone's part of that. So he's gonna have the numbers advantage with God's Country in his corner.
He certainly is, and obviously got a live sermon from Frank of the Cross as well on the show.
I mean, who knows where that can go? Frank Cross reminds me of one of these American televangelists. The price of salvation is $5.95 kind of guys. So who knows where that's going to go? But very much like a wrestling wedding, I don't imagine it will quite go to plan.
That's
I,
this one.
I'm genuinely sorry. I'm not going to be in the country for this one now. I'm like, damn it.
So Todd Gordon is doing a $10,000 battle royal. These are now I'm gonna have to have a word with Todd because these are the names I'm gonna struggle with some of these. So I'm gonna get some of these right, and I'm probably gonna get them some of these hideously wrong. So anyway, JTT Mendoza. Here we go. Hatche Gavadia. I hope that's right, and maybe I'm wrong. Patrick Peter Ski, Sean Moran, Big Mick, Karen Douglas, and then three great wrestlers called question marks.
Yes, there's gonna be a few kind of surprise entrants in there. I think this one's the one of the most exciting matches on the card. Todd Gordon fronting $10,000 for the winner. That's a big winner's purse to take home on that one. Um, that can really change the course of somebody's career, having that kind of money behind them. Can really change how they go about things. It opens up a lot of opportunities to them as well. But honestly, the best thing that has already came from this battle royal was Todd Gordon sending the most baller response to asking for a promo picture that I've ever had, which was him sitting at his desk with $10,000 in cash splayed out in front of him.
Just,
Why
just,
not?
just got that line about. It's fine.
Yeah, it's chump change to Big Todd.
That's
Should be
brilliant.
should be a really fun battle royal on there. We've mentioned obviously your tables, ladders, and chairs match with Chris Renfrew. Then you got international VIP bonus bout: Luke Aldridge, Sammy Sparks, Soldato, and still smoking Sebastian Day.
Yeah, Sebastian Day. He's one of the fellow kind of founders of VALOR Wrestling. It was him and myself that were running Copenhagen Championship Wrestling before, so he's got VALOR in his blood. Sammy Sparks is, he's mainly a tag team wrestler as part of Legends Never Die, but on his own, he's a very exciting young cruiserweight as well, who's been making his way around Europe recently. Um, Luke Aldridge, W3L World Champion, a veteran of the scene as well, much like we were talking about with Mike Musso and Taylor Bryden. He's hundreds of matches under his belt, so these guys are in for a challenge working against him. Soldato is another one who's been around for a while, and I'm looking forward to seeing him back in a Valor ring. Soldato's got a very kind of unique selling point in the sense of he is ex-military,
Oh,
so he's seen real combat. Outside of not just a wrestling ring, he's been on the field of battle, so he's going to be quite the contender in that match.
should be an interesting one. Is that international VIP bonus bout? Is it for VIPs only, or is that just because it's an important match?
No, so that's kind of like a pre-show events. So the VIPs get early entry and then they get an additional match as well.
So that will be the great one for that. And then the UEWA European Heavyweight title match between BT Gunn and Robert Starr.
So this one's going to be very exciting. This is one of those ones. Even if Scotland wins, I would, I can't say I would be totally over the moon because Robert Starr's been such a great champion. He's such a great guy and such a great performer as well. He's done so much for the UEWA. It was Robert Starr that brought in our Polish members in PPW from Poland. So he's really really done a lot for the UEWA. But we've been talking about veterans. There doesn't there isn't anyone who deserves that title more than the busiest wrestler in the world, BT Gunn. He's won every belt there is to win in this country, and in many other countries as well. But he hasn't ever captured that European gold. He hasn't ever won that kind of continental title and had that continental recognition. Now, in my opinion, BT Gunn, he is Europe's top performer. He's the best in Europe, I would say, and I would say he has been for a long time. He might disagree with me when I say that because he likes to doubt himself, but BT Gunn is absolutely phenomenal, and in my opinion, he's untouchable. So Robert Starr, if he manages to beat BT Gunn, he's going to absolutely cement himself as the champion of Europe. But he's going to have a hell of a task doing so, and there's every chance that BT Gunn is going to leave the Opry as European champion.
I was just going to say, talking to BT Gunn, I don't think I'm out of place saying he's probably got the best chops in Europe, if not further afield. BT
Yeah,
Gunn's chops
absolutely.
are something else.
Ah,
Absolutely. I remember doing, I think it was a BCW show where Chavo Guerrero said that, the only person that ever chopped him harder than BT Gunn was Chris Benoit. So that kind of sums it up for you,
You don't
BT.
want to be on the receiving
Yeah,
end of a BT gun chop. Mm-mm.
yeah, it's like a gunshot.
Jesus, no, I'm not with my heart anyway. I certainly wouldn't want to be. Yeah, I've had heart failure once. I don't want it again. But sounds of it, I'd probably get it. Look, you mentioned we've run down the card here, but just quickly, there's also you put on there very, very nicely that you got the cheapest bar in town as well. So anyone in Glasgow that want to go for the bar can
Absolutely.
get into that. Obviously, that's important. The raffles massively important. Good that you set obviously the hot food and snacks. The interesting bit on there was filming for American TV.
Yes. So we've recently secured a wee spot on the WN Sports Network,
Oh,
which is a public access network in the US operating out of the NYC and Chicago areas. So there's going to be select matches that will feature on a 30-minute broadcast on that network, which I'm very, very excited about. I've been telling you about all these guys who are, you know, the best kept secrets of European wrestling, and how I wish people could see more of these guys. Well, now we're not just going to be exposing them to a UK audience, we've got the chance to be exposing these guys further to an American audience as well. And I think the biggest risk that I run there is, somebody if WWE comes and steals all my talent, because that's how good they are.
wow, we'll find out, especially with the ID program as well. But it should be a really good show this coming weekend, Lou. If tickets are available, is it Eventbrite they go to for those?
Yes, so tickets are available on Eventbrite for all of our shows. It's always Eventbrite. There's shows right up until the end of the year that are on sale on Eventbrite at the moment. So that's the place to be.
That definitely is. We'll put the Eventbrite link. I've mentioned if anyone watching wants to go, they're in the Glasgow area or they're traveling to Glasgow, they're coming the weekend of the 16th. The ticket link will be on the Spotify, it'll be on the YouTube, and it'll be on the Instagram. But before we go, Fee, obviously, when the time this airs, you'll probably be in the air or at least in Texas by then. But
Back in
um,
Texas.
yeah, we only had an hour of NWA of you saying you're going to be in Texas. But before that, when you get back, what's going on in your world when you get back?
Oh, that's a fair point. When I get back, I've actually literally get back on the Tuesday and I've got shows all week. I've got Pro Wrestling Scotland, I've got Premier British Wrestling. I think Lou and I will be on some W3L shows coming up
Yes.
in April. Don't ask me where or when, but early April. Um, Scariest man in the world to be in the ring with, you. Um, that's all I'm going to say about that. If you check out the YouTube channels, you'll see why. So yeah, we've got quite a lot going on, but I'm gutted to miss this show next weekend that you're running. It sounds like a good one.
No, I
Yeah,
appreciate it. And you can always check out on the YouTube channel as well. All the shows
Yeah.
that get filmed for This Is Valor on YouTube. So there'll be plenty of footage going up on there, and we've got plenty more trips to the Opry coming up as well, which will be just as if not more exciting.
well,
Get my cowboy hat on.
I've got the subscription to that YouTube, so I'll be on that. But Fee, also, Inside the Ropes, very special guest in September.
Yeah, we're bringing Bret the Hitman Hart back to the UK with Inside the Ropes. The tickets are on sale for that now, itrtix.com. Can't remember the dates. I just know it's September and I know that I'll be there. So London, I think we're starting in Glasgow this time. Normally do London, Manchester, Glasgow, but we're doing it in reverse. It's Glasgow, Manchester, London. Round about the 15th, I think. But itrtix.com for that. I think there's some VIP tickets left for that, but I know that there's general admission as well. And we did increase the capacity for all three venues as well. So
Good.
we can get as many folks as possible in, which will be
Yeah,
cool.
I would definitely recommend going to Inside the Rope show. Yeah, it is that weekend because that is the weekend of Buckle Up Free, which, for those of you that don't know, that is our show with Ignite Wrestling. So we put the show on. I can't even give you any names of people that we've booked because I will get my nuts chopped right now if I did that. Suffice to say, though, some really big names in the UK scene coming over for Buckle Up Free, like Buckle Up 2 and Buckle Up 1, although this time it won't be on the European Championship final like we did last year.
Oh,
That was a big mistake, but no, it wasn't because they did all show up. We did, it was sold out, so it will be sold out again. Who will be the hitting the turnbuckle champion by then? Well, you won't know unless you come to the last stand on May the 18th at Shenley Road, where our champion is back from Noah. He lost, unlucky. Although apparently controversially. Mark True, he will be defending the Hit in the Turnbuckle Championship against new number one contender Aluna, who had an incredible triple threat match against Shane Hook and Harrison Bennett at Chapter 4. The only other match that's been announced, I believe, is the breakout match, and I've got to remember the 3 people in it now, which is going to be fun. Bart O'Connor is in that, I'm pretty sure. Tom Mercer is in it. He's about 7 foot tall. They call him Tiny Tom when he's 7 foot. Callum Beck. That's it. That's it. Only 2 matches announced. 70% of the tickets gone. Like Valor, go to Eventbrite for that, and you'll be able to type. If you type in the last stand, you'll get it. Buckle up. Tickets will go on sale in July time, I think, for that show. Fee, I know you may well be there, which will be nice to see you. Hopefully, fingers crossed for that. Big thanks to RVD for coming on last week. And so that was great. We got Gangrel coming up very, very soon. That should be a fun interview as well. But this has been, well, get down to Valor if you're in that area. I need to come up to Scotland and see some of this.
I think you'd like a Valor show.
By the sounds of it, I'd absolutely love it. But yes, I need to come up and see Valor. But obviously, Luke, good luck for the weekend. I hope it all goes really, really well. I look forward to seeing it and a lot more from Valor in 2025.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on the show, and good luck with your guests coming up. Gangrel sounds like an exciting one. I've met Gangrel myself, and he's a very, very funny person to to chat with. So you'll have a good one there. But I appreciate you giving me the time to come on and talk about our wee slice of wrestling.
No problem at all. Actually, I've got to say before you mentioned the big boss man earlier on. I'm going to be interviewing his daughter next. It would have already interviewed his daughter by the time this goes out. So yeah, Carly Trailer. Yes, Carly Trailer, got her name right. She's coming on as well to have a big chat about her dad and living with a wrestler, which should be fun. But Fee, enjoy again. I would say enjoy your holiday. I've already said that before. We'll talk when you're back. Lou, big thanks for coming on the show. Can't wait to see Valor next year. Guys, check out Valor. Go to Eventbrite. Go on to YouTube. Subscribe to their channel. Go and watch some of the best untapped, for now, anyway, European talent on the scene. But until next time, this has been Independent Showcase with Fiona Lochran, with Lou King Sharp, and with me, Adam Cousins. And until next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.